Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Man, it was a wild weekend within the Big 12. Exciting football across the board in the Big 12. We had some shakers and movers, ladies and gentlemen. We also had some frauds. I know people get mad when I say it, but I don't care. That's the way it was. That's the way I saw it, and that's the way I'm always going to tell you exactly how I feel, whether you agree or disagree. We saw some teams take a step forward, even in defeat. We saw a team take a step forward, in my opinion. So it was excellent football this weekend. And I think we're just getting started because this next coming up weekend is going to be even better, ladies and gentlemen. So before we get started, we're going to break all this down. But before we do, remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in that comment section like you always do, and always hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. Let's get into this. First game up, Houston over Oklahoma State, 39-17. Look, Houston held Oklahoma State to 225 total yards. Houston getting up off the mat after being humbled by Texas Tech the week before. Casey Wegman threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for another one. Like I said, it was a solid bounce back after kind of getting smacked, or not kind of, after getting smacked around the week before in a big game, or they perceived to be a big game against Texas Tech. Again, Houston is a better football team than what they were a year ago. They're just not ready to compete at that level, and that's okay. They're still building up the program. But it's a good way to bounce back. You get smacked around at home. You go on the road, a team that you're better than. You prove that you're better than they are. Good for you. That's how you build a program. That's how you do it. And Oklahoma State, they're still fighting. They're still fighting. If you watch any of this game at all, you saw a team that just isn't talented. That's all. They're just not talented. But they didn't quit. They fought the entire football game, and I commend them. I don't know if they're going to be – even if they keep fighting, I don't know that they're going to be able to beat anybody, but just because the talent level isn't there. But I give them credit. Oklahoma State, they have a team of fighters. You got to give them credit for that, man. So they're just not talented enough right now. Cincinnati over UCF, 20-11. Bearcats, you almost pissed me off. And basically you did piss me off. Now, I got this love-hate relationship with you, Bearcats, but you sleptwalked through this football game. Now, first things first, UCF fans, don't get pissed off. You played a physical brand of football in this game, and that's to be commended. You did. You took the fight to Cincinnati, but if you watched the game, you saw Cincinnati was sleepwalking in this football game. Coming off a big win, which maybe it's not such a big win now, the week before over Iowa State, still remains to be seen, and you sleptwalked through this football game. You did. Let's just call it what it is. You look, the UCF had more total yards, more rushing yards, and pretty much more fight the entire football game than Cincinnati. It was crazy. UCF, they had the ball for 19 more minutes. 19 more. And you're going to tell me that this was Cincinnati's A game? Stop it. And maybe you can say that UCF caused them not to play this way. I think there's some of that in that. I don't want to be disrespectful and say that some of that didn't happen. But if you just watched, you could also say, yeah, Cincinnati was going through the motions. A lot of this game, they were going through the motions. They got the win, but I can tell you this right now. If Cincinnati, a lot of people, including myself, are pretty high on you right now. If you want to continue that, you're going to have to play better football. Because if this is the effort we're going to get for the rest of the year because you think you've accomplished something, you're in trouble. That's all I'll say. You're in trouble. So let that be a warning to you that while you were able to get by this week, you continue down this path, you won't be able to do that for long. I'm just telling you right now. Get it together, guys. Get it together. You got to win, and I'll give you credit for that win. Again, when you weren't playing your best, and you could also say that's the sign of a pretty good football team is that when you sleepwalk and you don't play your best, you're still able to win a football game. But that's not going to get it done most days in the Big 12 in this conference against most teams. And I think they know that. Let's move on. First upset of the day. Colorado upsets Iowa State 24-17. Iowa State, fraud. I don't care. Look, you can get mad, Iowa State fans, okay? You can be mad, but you know I'm right. You are a more talented football team than Colorado. I don't want to hear about this. Well, we were without our 2 starting corners. You know how many teams are without football players at this time of the year? Not to mention, the people that keep saying that Iowa State's without their 2 starting corners, why don't you go down the list of defensive starters and even backups that Colorado was without in this football game? Well, go down that list. And when you do, then we can start talking about it. I go, but until you actually take a look at that, I don't want to hear it. You're better or supposed to be better than Colorado, but you weren't. Period. End of story. I don't want to hear about this injury thing, man. I don't want to hear about that. Everybody has injuries on their football team. It's part of it. It sucks, but it's part of it. And now, I don't want this to go by without bringing this up because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this either regionally, nationally. There was a controversial call in this football game that I thought was absolute garbage. Now, look, Colorado won the game. You got to give them credit. They took advantage of everything that they were given and created, by the way, But to pick up that flag on that interception, that pass interference in the end zone was egregious, man. I like, what were you going to say? Well, he intercepted the ball before the pass interference? No, he tackled the man in the end zone, and yet you pick up the flag. I just, oh my God. I don't know, man. Officiating is so bad. You threw the flag because you saw pass interference because you saw a defender tackle a receiver. Well, he intercepted it first. What? I don't know. And maybe Iowa State would have scored. I have to believe since Iowa State ran the ball for 236 yards, I'm going to guess they were going to be able to get another 2 since you were going to put the ball first and goal on the 2-yard line. So, look, I don't want to take away from the win from Colorado. It was one call, but I'm under the belief. There's a lot of people, there's so many plays in a football game. Back and forth. This was a play that technically cost Iowa State the game. It was a 14-point swing. You score 7 points, you don't score 7 points. Period. End of story. So, it was horrible. It was horrible. But give Colorado credit. Give them credit. Caden Salter played an exceptional football game after stinking up the joint the week before. Came back and played an exceptional football game. And look, maybe this is just who Iowa State is. You know, there was a lot of people out there and kept telling me, Big B, you got Iowa State ranked too high. Big B, you got them ranked too high. Who have they played? Who have they beat? You're right. I was wrong. You were right. I was wrong. And you know me. If I'm wrong, I have no problems telling you I was wrong. And I was wrong. They just haven't done it. And this proves it because you're a better football team than Colorado. But you know what? I'm going to give Colorado. Plus, Coach Prime. You have surgery on Tuesday. You come back and coach your team on Saturday. And I know there's going to be some people that say, well, he had surgery for the media. I'm like, who has surgery for blood clots for clicks? Like, who does that? Now, granted, filming all the stuff in the hospital and all that, okay, whatever. But, yeah, I'm going to have surgery just for fun on blood clots in my leg where I've already had toes amputated? Come on, man. I give him credit because he had to be in pain out there coaching. His team stood up for him. Good for Colorado because I didn't think Colorado would win another game. After they got beat last week, I didn't think they'd win another game. again, shows you how much that I know. Good for those kids for standing up and fighting for their coach. Can you continue to do that? Because it doesn't get easier. It doesn't get easier. That schedule is tough. But Iowa State, fraud. Don't want to hear it. Next up, Kansas State smacks around TCU. Should we call TCU a fraud? I mean, I guess we can. I guess we can. But this was a demolition. Now, you'll see the score if you didn't watch the game, 41-28. TCU scored 2 of those touchdowns, window dressing touchdowns. It was a 3-touchdown game. They got beat from pillar to post. You'll look at Josh Hoover threw for, 376 yards. One of them came on an 85-yard play, again, being down 3 touchdowns. Now, the play happened. Can't take the yards away. But at no time was Kansas State under any game pressure, after halftime. They took the fight to TCU and beat the brakes off of them. So I guess we could call TCU a fraud. I don't know. When you get beat like that, I don't even know if fraud is the right word, to be honest with you. That was ugly. Josh Hoover, who I was praising, start the Heisman campaign. Yeah, don't start nothing. Don't start nothing. K-State defense had him fooled all day long. 2 interceptions. K-State's defense had 2 defensive touchdowns. It's not like Kansas State just had this overly dominant offensive performance. They didn't. Joe Johnson ran for 110 yards on 27 carries. No Dylan Edwards. It's probably time that K-State just moves on from Dylan Edwards. He doesn't want to play there anymore. It is what it is. Avery Johnson threw for 3 touchdowns. It was just a beatdown. It was literally just a beatdown. And again, TCU. This is why people can't take TCU seriously. And I understand you played in the national championship game a couple years ago. I get all of that. But you haven't been the same since. You've been, I don't know. It's been smoke and mirrors ever since then. And this is the reason why. Your best player on Saturday ran the ball, Kavorian Barnes. He ran 12 carries, 81 yards. He was going up and down the field like Kansas State had no answer for him, and he hadn't played. He didn't play in the game against Arizona State. So I know you look at that, well, they couldn't run it against Arizona State. Well, he didn't play. He played against Kansas State, and he was playing well. He was running the football well, but you gave it to him 12 times. Why doesn't that guy get 24 carries? Kansas State didn't have an answer for it. He was going up and down the field. He was running with power, elusiveness, but no. At TCU, we got to throw the football. I know our quarterback's struggling. He's struggling, but he's going to throw himself out of it. Well, he didn't do that, and you got blown out. Pathetic. Just pathetic. Good for K-State, though. Good for K-State. This is a win. I don't know if it's going to turn around their season, but it's a win that they had to have. Their backs were against the wall, and they did it. And they did it in dominating fashion over TCU. TCU, I thought you were a team that could compete for the Big 12 title. You are not. And I was wrong again. So that's kind of the theme here lately. Big B wrong. I don't like that. It's true, but I don't like it. Texas Tech blows out KU in the second half. But look, let me just say this. They beat KU 42-17. And the final score, it was indicative of the football game. But only half of the football game. Now, again, they don't stop keeping score in the second half. You have to continue to play the game. But this is how this game started. Texas Tech came out and punched KU in the mouth. They threw 2 jabs and an overhand right and knocked KU down within 5 minutes. And you thought, this is all she wrote. And KU got up pretty quick. They didn't even wait for the standing 8 count. KU got up. KU didn't even jab back. KU threw a left hook, a right hook, and an uppercut. And before you know it, halftime is 21-17, and KU has all the momentum. And you're like, wow, this is a ball game. And it was a ball game. It wasn't flukish type of stuff. It was no. KU got it together, staggered, stood up, and I don't even know if you'd say they staggered. They just stood up and said, hey, man, what'd you hit me like that for? Take this, and punched Tech in the mouth. Now, I'll give Tech credit. I don't know that Tech's been punched in the mouth this year. Matter of fact, I'm positive that they have not. Overcame some adversity. Baird Morton's again goes down with injury. But this one, it didn't go the same way as Utah. You know, Will Hammond came into the game, and he was throwing dots against Utah. That's not what happened against KU. He was 7 of 16 throwing the football, I mean, with an interception. It did not look good. But what Tech did was, again, sign of a good coaching staff. Hey, you know what? Teams have been able to run all over KU. Why don't we just do that? We've got good running backs. We got a pretty good offensive line. Why don't we just run the football? And that's exactly what they did. Cameron Dickey ran for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns. Look, I give KU credit because KU stuck in the game for a half, but after halftime, this was not a contest. Look, Jalen Daniels played well, 27 for 33, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know, like I said, they had all the momentum going into at halftime. They had all of it. But when you give up 9 sacks, you're not going to be able to beat good competition, ladies and gentlemen. That's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. And like I mentioned before, Tech is just better than people. Now, you can punch them in the mouth. And again, we hadn't seen anybody punch them in the mouth. I give KU all the credit for that. They did. They were right there. But Tech is just better. But again, 505 total yards of offense. You're not going to beat teams when you're giving up that much. Plus 372 yards rushing. I mean, that's what KU gave up. You can't beat anybody, especially when Tech couldn't throw it. That's the thing. It's like Tech couldn't throw the ball. But then they just said, well, we'll just run it to the tune of 372 yards. It just goes to show you the difference between Tech and everybody else. They get punched in the mouth. They can't go to their A game on offense, so they'll go to 1A. We'll go run it, and not only run it, we're going to run it so successful. But again, I'm going to give KU credit for hanging in there, but also going to give Tech a lot of credit. You got punched in the mouth for the first time this season, and you punch back, and you punch back hard. Lord have mercy. You just body blow after body blow after body blow after getting punched in the mouth. That's what you want to see out of a good team. But this Barrett Morton situation, they got to get it figured out. Like, he can't stay healthy. I think this is the third or fourth game. Tech fans, you can remind me in the comments, third or fourth game that he's gotten hurt this year. Now, nobody's blaming him. You don't blame people for getting hurt. But at some point, this got to get figured out. I mean, it's becoming a problem. And this time, Will Hammond didn't bail you out. Like, he ran the ball pretty well. He ran for 2 touchdowns. Don't get me wrong. But are you sure you're going to be able to beat Arizona State by doing that? I don't know. But then again, we just saw Arizona State. We'll get to that. Even still, good. I like KU, what they did in this football game. But Tech, again, got punched and punched back hard. Big win for them. Speaking of that, Utah, Arizona State, everybody thought this was going to be the game of the day. They got destroyed. This game was over pretty quickly. Look, it was a physical mismatch, an absolute physical mismatch. Now, you wouldn't think that going into this game, Arizona State, the way that their run defense and how they had run the football, you're thinking they'll just, without Sam Leavitt, which I thought he was miraculously going to be healed and play in the game, but Arizona State wasn't lying. Give them credit. They didn't lie. But we can get to that in a minute. But I thought they just leaned into the physicality. Well, they didn't have any against Utah. Utah said, hey, there's levels to this as far as physicality goes, and you don't have it. And they ran right through them. Utah ran for 276 yards, 6.6 yards. Arizona State ran for 135. And this was a blowout. Look, Arizona State had the ball for 13 more minutes. That's wild. You have the ball for 13 more minutes and you get outrushed by that much? It's crazy. But they did. Devin Dampier was sensational, ran for 120 yards, 3 scores, threw for another 100 yards. It's not like Utah threw the ball all over the lot. They didn't. They only threw it for 136 yards. Utah just said, we're the physically dominant team, and we're going to run it down your throat, and there's not going to be anything that you can do about it, Arizona State. And that's what happened. That's literally what happened. Now, I don't care who the quarterback was for Arizona State. Now, don't get me wrong. Jeff Sims was not good. He was not good, and we didn't think he was going to be good. He's back up for a reason. He had lost a couple jobs. We didn't think he was going to be good, and he wasn't. No slander to the kid. He's not that good of a quarterback. It's just facts. But Sam Levitt doesn't tackle anybody. Sam Levitt isn't a middle linebacker or a safety or a D lineman. Like, he's not stopping the run out there. Now, you might say maybe they can put up some more points. Okay, that's fair. But Utah did exactly what it wanted to on offense. They just said, you know what? Our game plan is going to be the more physically dominant team. And that's what they did. Arizona State couldn't hold up. They just couldn't hold up. It's just fact. It was a statement by Utah. It was a statement by Utah, basically saying, I get it, the Tech game, we got embarrassed the last 10 minutes of that football game. We got physically embarrassed. That's not going to happen this game. That's not going to happen. So, look, Arizona State got to go back to the drawing board. Tough game coming up. Both of them, tough games coming up. That's why I said this coming up week is going to be great. It's going to be great in the Big 12 Conference, baby. But, yeah, Arizona State got to find a way to get his quarterback back. I still don't understand how a quarterback practices the entire practice on Tuesday and Wednesday, doesn't get hurt again, but then can't play on Saturday. I'm not saying it was the wrong move. I'm not saying that the kid's not hurt. But if you want somebody to play on Saturday, why are they practicing on Tuesday? I just don't understand it. Why are they practicing on Wednesday? I just don't understand it. I don't get that. But I'm not the coach. I'm not the medical staff there, so I don't know. I have played football, been around it my entire life, 45 of my 49 years. If you want a guy to play on Saturday, it's okay if he doesn't practice Tuesday and Wednesday, in my opinion. But, Kenny Dillingham doing a good job running his program. Who the hell am I to tell him what to do? That's all I'm saying. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't have to agree. He's the head coach. He knows what he's doing with that program. So good for him. Not a good day on Saturday. Got to find a way to bounce back, and the competition gets even better. So we'll find out. We will find out. Then lastly, game of the day. BYU outlasts Arizona 33-27 in double overtime. Thriller. A thriller. Yes. Look, BYU, it's like they're an old cat with 9 lives, man. They're down 10 in the fourth quarter. They come back, score the game-tying touchdown with 19 seconds to go. Just when you thought the luck was going to run out on BYU, they weren't going to be able to come back. They do. And this was not one of Bear Bachmeier's better games. I mean, he couldn't throw the football. He's throwing 2 interceptions. He's looking lost as a true freshman out there. But what BYU did, good coaching staff, they started leaning into that running game. And they leaned into that running game. They ran for 256 yards, over 5 yards a clip. L.J. Martin led the way, 162 yards. Bachmeier ran for 89 yards. That's what they said. Okay, he's not throwing it well. He's a little rattled throwing this football. We got to run it. And that's exactly what they did. They ran that football. Look, Arizona, I thought, had a bad plan. And when they got the lead, I thought Arizona had a bad plan. Look, they were able to run the football. They did. They ran the football well in this game. But you give it to Fafita, and he's 25 for 45 for 219 yards. I'm like, 56% passing. I'm like, man, run the ball. You're running the ball for 5 yards a carry. Run it more. I just thought, I don't know. Arizona fans, maybe you disagree. And I know Fafita's good. I just think you get a lead, you're running the ball well, lean into that and make BYU, because BYU was clearly playing you to throw the football. They were like, you won't run it. We'll give you whatever you want in the run game, but we're going to play because we know that you're going to keep throwing it. And that's exactly what happened. And you throw the ball and you have 25 completions for 219 yards. That's not enough. That's not enough. You got to be at 250 to 275 with that number of completions. BYU, they understood what you were going to do. It just wasn't enough. Wasn't enough. I commend Arizona, though. I do. Look, there's so many people out there that got in the comments, that continue to get in the comments and want to say stupid stuff like, and yes, stupid stuff. Oh, well, Arizona, what are you basing that off, that they're better than last year? I'm like, have you watched? Like, do you pay attention? I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at a football team of what they were in 2024 versus what they are in 2025. If you just watch them, they're better. Oh, well, the bar is set awful low. Well, I didn't say that the bar was set high. I didn't say that they were national champions the year before. All I said was Arizona is better than what they were last year. They are. I mean, man, I don't know why that, and I get it. I'm sure it's an Arizona State fan that just wants to get in there and stick a needle in for some reason. I don't get it. Like, why do you care? They're better than last year. They sucked in 2024. They were god awful. They are not this year. They're playing decent football. And whether you want to give them credit or not, they're a better football team. Didn't like the plan against BYU. Thought this was an upset that could have happened. They let it get away. Give BYU credit. They're a good football team. They found a way to win when they weren't at their best. They went into another plan. Their freshman quarterback was struggling throwing the ball. They found another way to win. Good for them. That's what good teams do. Arizona still is a better football team than what they were last year. So that's what I got, man. It was a crazy, crazy weekend. Like I said, some teams that in a loss, Arizona proved, okay, we're better. We can possibly compete at a higher level than what we were last. Well, definitely higher than what they were last year. A couple of frauds, Iowa State, TCU. Yeah, you are. Tech still really good. Utah made a statement. Hey. You can like it or dislike it. Utah made a statement, people. That's just the bottom line. Looks like we may have a race on our hands with this Big 12. It looks like it's, and maybe not for first place, but to see who gets to Arlington. We still have a lot of football left. I'm excited about it, man. This coming up week is going to be great. It's going to be great. So appreciate you, man. Remember to get in the comments like you always do. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.